Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello nerds, how are you? I'm super good today. This morning, I outlined 4 podcast episodes in an hour and a half. It used to take me like 2 to 3 hours to do one. So I'm super proud of myself because that's definitely me unlearning my perfectionistic tendencies. And I know many of you are perfectionists because I see it in my clients and you see everything as a mountain. But that's definitely something that you can get better at and create the same amount of quality in a shorter amount of time when you learn how to deal with the mind drama. When you learn how to bypass this mind drama, then all the time that you spend like arguing with yourself in your mind is spent on just creativity, letting your creativity flow. And when you're able to do that, you can get so much shit done. I swear. What used to take me a whole freaking day, I can get done an hour. And I'm not even exaggerating. Sometimes, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I fall back into my perfectionism when I am anxious or when I'm tired, when I have not eaten breakfast. There's so many different times that I do fall back into it. But I'm getting better and better at trusting my instincts, trusting my creativity, and putting all the resistance aside. And it feels amazing. I literally feel unstoppable, like I can do anything when this happens. So, here I am. That's not today's topic. Here I am recording today's episode about the social media detox that I did for 1 week during the holidays. So I want to tell you about 5 observations that I made when I was not using Instagram or Facebook and how I want to apply that in my day-to-day life in 2022 and how you can also do it. How you can also apply these things that I've learned to your life. First, let me tell you why I decided to do this. Then I'm going to go through the 5 observations, tell you how I want to apply it to my life. Then we're going to summarize all that, and that's going to be it for today. All right? All right. So I decided to do this just because a friend of mine posted on her Instagram that she was taking a 1-week break. And I thought, maybe that would be a good idea for me too. I'd been noticing how I was abandoning my good habits, like I started taking my phone in my bed again. I started spending too much time scrolling again. And I go in and out of those habits, right? Sometimes I'm better and I put my phone away in the evening to read a book. And I always really appreciate it when I do that. I always sleep better, feel better the next day. But yeah, sometimes I just fall off the wagon and bring my phone into my bedroom and then scroll for too long. I know I'm not the only one to do this. So I thought, perfect. I'm going to do that. It was kind of an impulsive decision. It was on a Sunday. I said no more Instagram and Facebook for a week. And here are the 5 observations I made. The first one is I noticed my addictive behavior. It was like I was a rat in a lab. Whenever I was waiting for my bread to toast, or if I put something in the microwave, or if I went to the restroom, my body, like there was an urge taking over my body. My hand just wanted to reach for my phone and scroll. Could feel it. It was physical. It was like there was a hole in me because I couldn't do it. It didn't hurt. It was just uncomfortable. Like, like my hand just wants to do the movement. Like the muscle memory is there. And I just want my thumb to go up, and I crave that distraction. Just that made it worth it. To be able to notice that behavior and to get curious and to gain awareness on my subconscious. What's funny is sometimes I did grab my phone and I read newsletters. I signed up to really good newsletters from coaches that I really admire. So it was good. It was good. But it was like, again, me trying to fulfill that need for input. It's like we're input junkies. It's just really hard to sit and not consume any information. That was observation number 1. And I thought, do I want to be controlled this much by an object? By this small computer that is the extension of my arm? Do I want that? Got me thinking. Observation number 2 is how it was a quieting down of everything. So instead of having an input of everyone's thoughts, instead of having access to the whole world's, well, it's not the whole world, obviously, because it's the algorithm makes it so I have certain kinds of people in my following and not others. But these people that I have, that I follow, instead of being fed their thoughts, their opinions, their beliefs all day long, I was alone with only my thoughts, my beliefs. I was in my own world, with Ollie as well. It's just us, and felt refreshing and grounding. Like, this is my world. I don't have to be in the world all the time. I can also be in my world and get familiar again with what's here and now. Observation number 3. That brings a lot of inner peace versus inner turbulence. It allows the water to settle. And inner peace is such an amazing feeling. I think it's so much better than happiness. Happiness is like heightened, whereas inner peace is mellow and light. And I found out that inner peace is created when you connect with your inner knowing and you believe your inner knowing more than you believe your thoughts or the thoughts of others. But for that to be possible, you need to let the water settle. So when you're on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, you feed your brain with all these thoughts that make picture an aquarium or fishbowl with water in it. And it just shakes the bowl, shakes the water. And then your thoughts are in there as well, shakes the water. And then when you stop looking at social media, other people's thoughts go away. You will have more space to be able to see your thoughts and even to go underneath all this mind chatter of yours and see what's in your heart, see what's really important to you. Sit there, sit in the basement of your heart instead of being like running around in your mind. I picture your mind like a big room, like a gymnasium kind of thing. And there's all your thoughts and other people's thoughts running around and dribbling their balls, and that's inner turbulence. Whereas you can take the elevator down to the quiet basement of your heart. That's like a dimly lit room with like a comfortable sofa and some candles. And there you can get in touch with what really matters. So that brings me to observation number 4, is that this quieting down of everything, this inner peace, allowed for greater intimacy. Greater intimacy with myself, but greater intimacy with my partner. Because I didn't have the option to choose distraction, or I did, but it was not as easy. You know, I could distract myself with a movie or with a book, but it's not as automatic as your phone is. So because I didn't have this automatic option for distraction, it made it easier for me to choose engagement, meaningful engagement with the people around me. and the people around me were Ollie. So a depth of intimacy that's so nourishing, so rich, but it's hard to choose that greater intimacy when you have access to easy distraction. Because greater intimacy is vulnerable. It requires effort. It requires effort because you open up and you show yourself naked. Like metaphorically, but also literally in some cases. So it requires effort. That's why sometimes it's so important to put the easy distraction aside so we can focus on what's more meaningful, connections that are more meaningful. I very much encourage that. And the last observation is that I had to sit with my feelings. So on the third day, I think, I tested positive for COVID. I learned that I had to cancel all my New Year's plan with my family. We were going to go drive and spend 4 days with my family and have fun, play board games and stuff. And I had to cancel all of that. And I was really frustrated. I was really sad. And all I wanted to do was open my phone and use Instagram to distract myself from those uncomfortable feelings. Just wanted to channel all of that energy into something. And that, my friends, is called buffering. When you have an uncomfortable feeling, you're going to look for ways, for things to do so that you don't have to sit in that feeling. But that's not good. That's not good because it takes you away from feelings that need to be felt. Otherwise, what happens is they don't just disappear. They go somewhere inside your body. That's what I believe anyway. They turn into a headache or back pain or just tension in your muscles or acid reflux. Feelings are like a tunnel. If you don't go through the whole tunnel, if you turn back and distract yourself because you don't like the tunnel, you think it's too long, too dark, too moist, you're scared, so you go back and you distract yourself, it doesn't work. Your feelings don't just disappear. You have to be able to sit through them and remember that they're not going to kill you. Okay, otherwise it creates a lot of trouble in the long term. So, going back to my situation, I was really sad that I was not going to spend New Year's in my family. I love my family. I was sad that I had to stay home again, but I had to just sit with that sadness instead of buffer. Sit with the sadness and see where it takes me. Just made me feel really grateful for my family. And then it passed, because that's what feelings do. They seem really intense, and then they pass. So these are my 5 observations. The first one was I got to notice my addictive behaviors. Then I got to notice how everything quieted down and I was left only with my thoughts and not strangers on the internet's thoughts. The third observation was how inner peace was created, how I got to go down in the basement of my heart. The fourth observation is the greater intimacy that I found there. And the last one, the fifth observation, is how I had to learn even more. I had to practice sitting with my feelings. So, how is that going to apply to 2022? Well, I definitely aspire to feel inner peace more than I aspire to feel happiness, for sure. So that's why I want to simplify. I want to simplify my life to the maximum. And if I make a parallel with thru hiking, one reason I want to simplify my life is because I've seen on the PCT how life-changing it is to follow one single path. How lighthearted it feels to have a clear direction and one single path to get there, not a million paths that go in a million directions. That's why I decided to create in February an event, a one-off event that you're going to be able to attend. You don't have to be part of Brave and Bold. You can just attend. It's going to be a one-time fee and it's all going to be about how to make a decision. So for those of you who have tons of paths in front of them with tons of different directions and you feel overwhelmed, you don't know which one to take, they all seem fine, and you're stagnating because there's too many options, that workshop is going to be for you. So stay tuned. It's going to be around mid-February, workshop on how to make a decision. So I'm going to remove, I've already started in the last few years, everything that's not essential in my life. I'm sure I've told you about Essentialism before. It's a book by Greg McKeown, and there's this graphic in there that completely changed my life. It's a circle with like 8 little arrows around it. And it represents how you divide your resources. So your time, your energy, your money is divided into all kinds of different things. And let's say all the little arrows measure like a centimeter. That's the amount, the quantity of time that you can give to that specific thing. Whereas if you remove, let's say, 6 or 7 of those things, you get to stack those little arrows. And now the arrow measures like 6 centimeters, and you've tripled, quadrupled the amount of energy that you put in that one thing. That's why it's so important to get rid of things, because when you get rid of things, what's left, you give your full attention to, and you do it well, you do it better. You have to choose what matters to you most and get rid of the rest as much as you can so that you pour all of you into what you love, into what matters. So what my focus is going to be for 2022 is brave and bold. So I divide my focus into 3 categories. The first one is taking care of my clients, making sure they get amazing results, delivering content that's high quality, that's simple to follow, that helps them on a really high level. And of course, part of that is me becoming a better coach. So I'm going to go get the resources for me to improve and get better and better. Then part 2 is welcoming new people inside Brave and Bold. I want to help more people achieve their dreams, becoming their bravest and boldest selves so that they can love their life, so that they can feel like they're on a meaningful pursuit and not just like force themselves every day to do something they don't really want to do and feel like they have to push themselves through life. I want to find those people, bring them in. And then the third part is kind of the boring part, to be honest, for me, is creating systems. So making sure that everything flows easily for me, for my clients, for the people that I'm going to hire one day. I want everything, the experience to just be simple. For my clients, if they want to book an appointment with me, that it's like one click and poof, it's done. That's just an example. It's also like if there are tasks that I always do that are quite repetitive, I want to automate these so that I can create more time for myself to do something creative. And it's also things like finances, making sure my finances are clear to me and that I have processes to follow when it comes to recording my income, for example, and tracking my expenses. I already have some systems, but I want to systematize my business even more, because what happens when you do that is it just frees up time to either relax or do something fun or create instead of being just like a robot that pushes buttons. So if there's someone out there that's good with these things, it's definitely not my zone of excellence. So get in touch if you're like a systems architect and you want to help me out. Get in touch. That's going to be something that I definitely need help with in the future. So to summarize, basically my whole focus in 2022 is going to be brave and bold. 1, taking care of my clients. 2, welcoming new clients in. And 3, creating systems. And I also have a cozy illustration project with a friend of mine that's kind of layered on top. One thing I'm really excited about as well is saying no. I've started saying no in the last year, and it's so liberating and so empowering. And I know that I'm going to say no a lot in 2022 because every time you say no to something that you don't really want to do, that you're not fully interested in, then it allows you to say hell yes to what you really want. It allows you to make space for what you want to come in. So sometimes some of us are going to say yes, even though we don't really feel like it because we think, oh, what if I don't get another opportunity? For example, when I was a freelancer, sometimes I was offered a project that didn't really light me up. But I thought, oh, what if I say no and then I don't get any other opportunity and I can't manage to pay my bills? That's not a fun situation to be in. And sometimes it is true that you need to say yes because you're in a tough place financially, but sometimes it also just comes from a place of insecurity, that you have a scarcity mindset where you think you won't have any other offers. But it's this in between where sometimes you need to say no to what you don't want and then make space for uncertainty, for some sort of void in which what you really want is going to be able to step in. See what I mean? You can work your way towards being able to say no. And it's so empowering when you can. When you can turn down a big amount of money because you've saved up, because you feel secure, and because you trust in the universe that you're going to receive something better. Part of that is planning, right? Planning so you have the funds to allow yourself to take risks. And part of that is trust. Trust in the universe. And belief in yourself and your capabilities. The other thing about saying no that's unrelated to work is saying no to offers to hang out when people want to spend time with you. I know I have to tell myself, to give myself the permission to refuse. I get to decide who I want to hang out with or not. And I have to detach myself from how the other person might feel. Some people ask me to spend time with me because I'm pretty cool. And I don't necessarily want to spend time with them. And I'm allowed to say no. I'm allowed to prioritize the people that I love, the people that get me excited, and to turn down the others. Because I have a finite amount of time. And you are allowed to do the same too. Even if you have nothing planned that evening. Even if you have nothing planned that Sunday, someone offers to hang out and you don't want to, you don't have to. You can say, that's not going to be possible right now. Maybe later. Okay? You're allowed. I'm giving you the permission. I know it feels really uncomfortable. I did it a few days ago. Felt really uncomfortable, but also so liberating. So repeat after me. I can hang out or not with whoever I want. All right? But now I feel like we're in a different podcast episode. I took a side path and now I'm coming back to the main path. How in 2022 I want to create simplicity. I want 2022 to be shockingly simple. To be quiet and full of inner peace and intimacy. I want to be able to feel my feelings. To do what matters most to me. To be conscious of how I live my life. Instead of controlled by external forces. Like I was with my phone when I was doing nothing. It allowed me to increase my level of consciousness. And that's what I want to do every day in my life. So, I definitely recommend you try a social media detox if you can. If it's not possible for you, I encourage you to set some boundaries. So have moments in your weeks where you don't use your phone, where you don't scroll, and notice what happens and let me know. And then if you want to create a life that's more simple, that's more of like one single path that goes in a direction that excites you and feels meaningful, then you can join Brave and Bold, because that's exactly what we do. We gain awareness of what lights us up and then create a life around that and learn to overcome our fears so that we can have a more rich life. When I say rich, I don't necessarily talk about money. I talk about engagement. We can have a more engaging life in which we grow, in which we work hard, but we work in pursuit of something that really matters to us. If that's the kind of life that you want to lead, then come talk to me and we'll see if Brave and Bold is a good fit for you. In Brave and Bold, I also teach a peaceful planning method that's been really helpful for my clients to make sure that you have time for what matters in your schedule. And my clients have said it brings them so much lightheartedness and they get so much more done. So, get in touch if that resonates with you, and otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye! Happy social media detox! You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.